It's Tuesday, June 13, and this is your Barbados Today evening update. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Our top story, opposition leader Mia Mottley is calling on Finance Minister Chris Sinclair to apologize to the island's public servants. Mottley's calls come in response to a caution from Sinclair that government would have to resort to sending home thousands of public servants if it is forced to abandon tax measures announced in this year's budget. The finance minister is responding to threats by the National Union of Public Workers that it would embark on industrial action if the government fails to scrap the tax measures. Motley says public workers are not excess baggage on an overweight plane to be shed at will, and she urged Minister Sinclair to do better.
The Barbados Labour Party contends that putting workers on the breadline as this government's first and main option will not significantly alter or enhance the economic fortunes of this country under this DLP government. We need a more conciliatory approach to addressing and resolving issues of concern to Barbadians and to the representative organizations in the country. The social partnership was created for this very purpose. And rather than just holding the usual for the record token meetings, the government needs to sit with the social partners and hammer out a reasonable formula for tackling the burgeoning problems impacting our country and its economy.
Meanwhile, the president of the National Union of Public Workers, Akani McDowell, says the island's public servants are not to blame for the country's economic woes. Speaking on radio this morning, McDowell insisted that the public sector wage bill has already been significantly reduced, and the real problem is government's failure to sit with unions to find solutions.
If you look at that report distinctly tells you that salaries and wages cannot be a problem because government has been able to reduce salaries and wages to the public service significantly by more than $100 million. The problem is the unwillingness of government to sit and negotiate with the unions. What we are asking the government to do is to conclude these negotiations before you speak or before you try to implement any additional taxes.
In other news, this Tuesday, Member of Parliament for St. James Central, Kerry Simmons, today charged that the Democratic Labour Party government is rehiring a number of Barbadians ahead of upcoming general elections. In fact, he challenged the Frundle-Stewart administration to release the latest statistics on labour in Barbados, suggesting it's not the right move in light of its call for belt tightening. Simmons was speaking during today's debate in Parliament on the vesting of over 63,000 square feet of land in Station Hill, St. Peter for the National Housing Corporation for the purpose of housing development. The cash-strapped National Housing Corporation is embarking on a land swapping initiative with the Barbados Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation. Housing Minister Dennis Kelman made the announcement today as he led off debate in Parliament on the vesting of more than 63,000 square feet of crowned land in Station Hill, St. Peter. Kelman admitted there are no quick fixes to the problems relating to housing in Barbados, but he assures the NHC is looking for creative ways to solve the problem. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Frundle-Stewart raised concern about what he called a strange trend, which is putting the National Housing Corporation under pressure. Stewart says a number of mothers are evicting their young daughters with children, forcing them to turn to the NHC for help.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Morning, Miss O'Ya.
Morning. You again. So you're washing cars now? Well, I can't keep up with you at all.
Yes, girl, you know they're going provision to selling slow. And I don't sell nation newspapers at all because them don't sell. So I washing cars now. I like to get up before 8:30 because I can't take the hot sun. You want the car wash?
No, not today. It clean.
But you're going in very early though?
Yeah, I just going early so I can read the Barbados Today online before work starts.
Right. But you can still let me clean the vendor for the $2. At least it's still cheaper than the nation newspaper.
All right.
I got a special boo here that I got it shiny. Thank you. Enjoy your day here.
You too.
All right. What that paper is? She can see clearly when the dirt is gone.
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
On the regional scene, there is strong public outrage at the brutal attack on Roman Catholic priest Father Clyde Harvey. The religious leader was tied and robbed by 3 men who threatened to kill him while he was attending church in Port of Spain. More in this report from TV6 News.
We were shown his ransacked living room and office. It all started around 5 o'clock. The priest was just about to leave the apartment preparing for morning mass. We're told 2 men were waiting for him under the steps. They put a gun to his head, carried him back into his room and forced him to open the vault. Father Harvey told church staff he was so nervous he took almost 10 attempts to open it properly. The vault contained no money anyway. The bandits also attempted to squeeze through the door of the church, but there was nothing there either. Father Harvey told a church member that the men contemplated kidnapping him. They asked him if the Archbishop would pay $50,000 ransom for him. He also joked with the staff member that he didn't know where they'd put him because he's too big to fit in a trunk. The thieves made off with nearly $1,000 in cash and Father Harvey's cell phone. He was shaken, frightened, but physically unharmed. Community members condemned the attack, wondering how criminals could stoop so low. Even the Prime Minister was irate. In a release, he said, quote, "Notwithstanding the difficulties one may be facing in life, there are limits beneath which the human form should not sink."
And on the international front, hundreds of people have been arrested in protests across Russia. The demonstrators are demanding an end to what they call rampant corruption. While there are no official figures on how many people have been detained, the Associated Press reported that close to 500 people were arrested. The country's opposition leader was also among those detained. And on that note, we come to the end of our news and sports update. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Or you can tune in to Mix 96.9 FM for the very latest. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.